Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, do we have the class test or an assignment today, sir?
Both. You have both today. Assignment, I'll brief you. Class test, you will have to do it during the class. I'll give you the slot. Okay. So the empathy blockers, domination, right? So the certain words, so the phrases that you used, it can block the empathy instantly. Sometimes we can use them without realizing the damage that they can do for us. When we have finished using these thoughtless expression, we have often lost our chance to communicate to the other person, right? So when it comes to domination, it's talking about threatening. If you are not able to get to work on time, we'll have to review our jobs here. Either we do it or else we're dropping. Then the other way of domination is the ordering. Using the term like, I'll see you immediately in my office. So you are calling your staff, is not there. Or he's saying that I'm just outside, I came out for a teaser and all that. Say, okay, I want to see you immediately in office. But you know that he is somewhere 5 kilometers away. And that is sort of a domination that you create. Then they start misbehaving. And then the criticizing, right? That means you are saying that you're not working hard to achieve this. Something like that. And name calling, like you can say that only an idiot would say like this. I'm not saying you, So that sort of thing, that would really discourage them. So you should have, and lastly, you should have doing this, or you should have said no, or you thought, that you should have said that, okay, let's face the thing. These are some of the words that which can slip out of our mouth very easily, but they are quite destructive to develop a relationship with a person, right? Now, and then the empathy blocker is a manipulation, right? When it comes to manipulation, we are withholding relevant information, interrogating. For example, if you know more about, you wouldn't see it, and especially when it comes to issues of some of the confidentiality. But if you know that you can't share those things, information, it's better not to mention that, right? But when you say that you have that information, but it is confidential, you can't share it, then that would probably they will take it in a different way,
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So sorry for the interruption, sir. Sir, could you please tell us from which part we are getting the class test?
Which part?
From which lesson, sir?
The quiz or the assignment?
The class test, sir.
Yeah, lesson, it's mostly I'm taking from last week and this week.
Sir,
So if you...
Sir, can we postpone that one to the...
No, I think it is very straightforward. You don't need to worry too much about that. You should be able to do it. I want to make sure that you'll pay attention and at least being in the class. So that's why I'm not telling you the time, what time I'm going to do that exam. Number one. Number two, which section? so
Okay.
that you will be there in the class.
So
Is it the MCQ answer?
MCQ plus written as well. But nothing to worry. It is straightforward, very simple questions. But just to refresh everyone. Another empathy blocker, especially when it comes to manipulations, the second type is the interrogating. By asking the question like, okay, now how long this takes? How many hours did this take for you to complete this job and all that? Third one is the pricing to manipulate. Saying that, okay, you are so good at report writing, but I would like to do this one. It's that this person don't like that job, but you tend to say that, okay, you are so good at that, this and that. Those are in terms of manipulation, right? Next one is the disempowerment. When it comes to disempowerment, where we are talking about diagnosing motives, right? So like we'll say that you are very possessive, something like that. And untimely advice. This is about, let's say, if you just straight up to the desk, you wouldn't be in this panic. That you're saying that why did you stay there and all that? You come there, or these are things that happened already. Then there's no point you talking about that. You can't say that that's a coincidence sometimes. And the other part is the change in the topic, right? While you are talking about some important matter, you're saying that, no, I'm really worried about my son or my family member. Oh, yes, it is a worry, but that I'll tell you I got a new job and all that. Something like that. You are not allowing them to express their part. You try to put your worry on top of that, saying that then that those are the empathy blockers, which is typically comes in. Other one is the denial. Denial is kind of refusing to address, right? Let's say, if someone come up with some issues and all that, you say there is nothing to discuss, right? I can't see any problem out here. When you say that, it's a pretty embarrassing situation for the person who brought that issue to discuss with you, right? So we got to pay attention to those. And lastly, that what we have to remember in terms of communication, I have explained this part before as well. Please remember this part very carefully, right? So 7% of verbal, what you should say, right? This much of what we communicate is unconsciously. Verbal, 7%, we try to communicate unconsciously. And 38% of vocal, how you say, 38% are unintentional. Remember, even if you are very clear on your communication and all that, 38% of your vocal, the tone, which comes out unintentionally. And 55% of visual, which is body language and non-verbal thing, right? This also, it's not how you want it to be put it out. It just come out without your control. So you got to remember these are very important facts that you should remember to make sure that this is part and parcel of your communication process. Now, this communication is we said that how it says that how it is matters for us and all that. And now that the communication is in fact congruent when what we say and what we do is much, right? So, for example, if we are to stand here like this, we don't smile and let you boys, I mean that make you feel terrible and stuff. I mean that, and you're trying to say no and all that. It is kind of annoying for the other person, right? But if you would if you say that I mean that I'm so excited to be here and would I be very believable on you and something like that. Now that you will see the same sort of what sort of that the interest that you will get it from that person. Most of us are hardly dislike the conflict, right? Some on the other hand, it seems to be it has been thrown to us. So those conflict can range from daily irritations to full growth of battle. So therefore, whatever the level of conflict, the earlier we take steps to resolve the situation is better the outcome you could expect. So you need to, in order to do that, you need to recognize that conflict. Conflict is something that it is inevitable, and also you should learn not to drag it to the level where you see it as a failure on our part or that of from anyone else from our part as well. This conflict can be dealt with logically and also calmly and effectively by using certain skills and reacting in the controlled way, right? And also you should be able to drive it in such way that you can deliberately you can manage that. So in the situation of crisis of a potential conflict, we should always remember the star. The star says what we need to do, we should stop, don't panic, and don't react. The T means for think. That means gather informations. A for analyze, where you can analyze using gathered information and decide how you can be a best person. Then R is respond, respectfully communicate your understanding of your situation, that and what would you want it to be. When this sort of conflict situation is always coming to us, it is we have to take time to think about all these above processes, this stop, think, analyze, and respond. Then you step by step, you tend to work through the situation where you don't get into that sort of conflict or you are being not being carried away. So the key is to begin to incorporate these principles and practice them in a regular basis. So let them become a part of your natural way. Because if you try to that build those things artificially, it doesn't come out when it comes to the difficult situation. That's what we have looked at, right? The body language, vocal, and the tone. You don't have control. So when you are in a conflict situation, you can always tell yourself, stop. Right? So how do you manage the conflict? Stop. But when you see there is a conflict situation, we need to stop. And then it will help you not to react quickly and will give you a few seconds to begin processing your situation and how you can, take it more into your control. The best growth and learning occurs when conflict is handled honestly and constructively. So there are a variety of conflict management strategies that can be used, which can be used for the situation, which can be appropriate for a situation, but it can be a different for the different approach can be taken for the different situation as well. So when it comes to conflict resolution strategies, there are 5 strategies. Avoid mean wait and see, and then the force mean win-loss, and then we have accommodate, loss-win, and compromise, loss-loss, and collaborate, win-win. So we discussed about this last week as well. So when it comes to avoid, when the issue are trivial or the circumstances dictate that your situation is better left until later, maybe you or the other person have to calm down or reinforce, or they brought in that sort of a way that you have to fight back or put your position. So it is better to avoid decision making when you are at that point, and stress that your judgment may not be the right one when you take the decision or judgment in a conflict situation. This is especially when a moral or safety issues are involved. You got to be very, very sensitive and careful. So you got to make sure not to be used to just because you are afraid to deal with the conflict. It is issue will only build and when become more complicated. So don't bother, just take one step back or slow down. So when it comes to force, where we are talking about win-loss, this is when you force the issue to get the decision that you want. Usually, for a safety or ethical or moral or legal issues, this is the approach which is being taken. Someone is trying to attack you. Then you're forced to take a step to protect you from that. Someone is trying to sue you legally. Then you are forced to react on that. So as a leader, you are ultimately responsible for the decision making. If you have a strong principles of your decisions, and on any of these issues, you must stand firm. And you should be able to share your reason. Sometimes it is good strategic move to ask a group to go away and think about the decision, and then you probably pray to the God and you move, move to the situation where you are kind of again you are trying to make a decision on your own. You are not listening to anyone. You are thinking on your own, and then you are trying to come up with a fresh mind, clear vision. Okay, now this is what I'm going to do. Right? So that way you may have the support from others also. They would have shared their thoughts and this rather than you imposing your view upon them. Right? So when a lot of people are trying to confuse you and all that, you should better you keep yourself away or let them go and you think on your own. So they may sometimes come back with the better idea or solution, but someone, I mean that someone is anyway going to lose that. And third is the accommodating part. There are times when it is most appropriate to give in, and it is mainly in a conflict situation. This can occur when for some reason or the another reason that you may be wrong. Possibly you didn't have all of this information, so therefore you may be seen as a wrong position or maybe some misunderstanding from your end. So when other person has legitimate authority and like the senior person or the president or and all that, in such circumstance, particularly if you feel strongly about the situation, calmly state your reason for disagreeing to that, and then you should be able to accommodate it with the dignity. Again, someone is going to lose. It can be you, but you need to decide if it is worth it or not, right? So if you try to do it other way around, it can create a serious conflict or serious issue. Now, fourth one is the compromise. This approach is typically used when attempted in the collaboration with many people has been successful. They have been failed or unsuccessful. When this sort of relationship or the issue is important, then it's not to give it up altogether as well. So when both sides are strongly believe that they are correct, and if you want each one to get near their goals, and you come to the agreement but mutual concession. So that's where, I mean, we see that most of the time where the accommodating and compromising are more or less, we are coming to the same sort of situation. Somebody is going to win, somebody is going to lose, because both parties think they are right. Then they collaborate. This is the desired goal in a conflict situation. You have to always remember, when there's a conflict situation, the collaboration is the desired situation. We have to put all our frustration to aside and look at the situation and discuss our different viewpoints calmly and professionally. And we have to work together so that we are both happy with the final outcome which is expected. So when we work on reframing that conflict situation, you got to think literally and come to an agreement. So when you are negotiating it, what are the points that you can concede in order to obtain the agreement for what is most important for you? The both sides give and take is what going to give us satisfaction. So that is what most of the people would like to have it as an outcome of this conflict resolution. So the both party kind of getting into the win-win situation. The 5 steps of resolving the conflicts. Its first part is the pray about the problem together, right? Do this humbly, not, I mean that we are not far away to bring the judgment down on that person whoever creating the trouble, or someone is committing to find a solution, and then you can define the this conflict situation as a mutual problem for both parties. It is obviously the problem for him, and he is committing to resolve that problem. Therefore, you tend to bring together and you share mutually as a problem for you as well. It is obvious that when a team is, you are working with a team and one person is into the trouble, conflict, it affects you as well. So in the most of the conflict situation, neither side is totally wrong or totally right. There can be wrong in both sides as well. Can be right in both sides as well. In most cases, there are things that sort out the both sides. That is the important part. So you try to perceive the situation as mutual problem, not a win-lose struggle. So that's the important part that you got to think at the front. And then you got to clarify the issues which focus on the needs and the goals. That is the important part, because you got to reframe the situation with the question, what do we need to do to get out of this situation? Right? What are our goals? What are our concerns? Don't be dragged back into the situation where the old gossips, and that's quite destructive. So we got to make sure that we understand the situation and move accordingly. Third one is understand from each other's perspective. You got to treat the other person and their viewpoint with the respect, for sure. You got to take the time to give each other's a time which is to state their viewpoint and listen without interruption. Once we really understand the other person's viewpoint, it is much easier to that we wanted to come out of that situation and how we can come to the agreement with that other person. Especially, you can use certain words like the words instead of you, we can use I. Right? When you point out him, you did this one. So rather you say like that, you use I. Right? So instead of you say that you make me so mad, then instead of that, if you say that I make myself mad, and I feel angry when something I said that without considering my personal situation and all that. So those are the kind of taunts, the choice of words that you can bring it to bring back the situation. And the fourth point is break the conflict into the small steps. If the conflict is serious, it may not be possible for you to sort out all the problems at one time. So you got to identify the options and develop the ones that give everyone more and what they wanted. So try to agree to deal with one issue at first, and then you can move on to the next issues, so that it will give other party a confidence. Yes, the first issue is sorted out. Similarly, we can sort out the second issue as well. And then finally, the give and take. That's most important. It's a long-term view, right? You can support what is legitimate and fair. It is not necessary for you to accept everything. And also, you should not agree to something, the injustice thing. If this is going to, if we are by fixing that issue, it is going to have an impact on someone else, you should not be agreeing to that as well. Right? So you can give an area that there are high value to others, and it's easy for you to give up also. He is asking, okay, I need this pen. You have 10 pens like that. So what's the big deal? Give it to him. Remember that you cannot expect to have everything to go on your way. Right? So that is the most important part when it comes to handling the conflict situation in terms of how you communicate. So the conflict is, I mean, it is happening everywhere, even in the project management. It is not necessarily, that unfavorable to when we manage it properly. So if you don't manage it only properly, only it is becoming unfavorable for us. There are several advantages that we have been identified, such as you can increase the personal growth, and you can increase your moral, you can enhance your communication, you can increase your better project outcomes and all that. That's very important. So the individual should understand their own personal triggers to better deal with the conflict situation in the workplaces. Especially the group members should think about other group members early onto the identify privately those individuals and behaviors that may push their buttons. And this conflict can be decline of an organization if it is not effectively managed. And again, understanding the dynamics of conflict and learning approaches to conflict resolution, managers will be able to establish an environment and so on. So that's about the communication and conflict management part. Let us move on to the today's session. Before that, do you have any doubts or clarifications? Are you able to understand? Are you able to relate with your workplace, your house, your family, your friends? Are you able to relate with that? Since we are not meeting physically, please keep your mic as well as, hold on, let me share my screen. Please, I would recommend you all to keep your mic on plus camera as well. But it's very difficult to get your people to agree to do that. But I think we'll have to do that. Okay. So is there anything you had to clarify, or shall I move on to the today's session? Organizational culture. Anyone, can you unmute your mic and speak?
Okay, sir. Let's move on.
Okay. I hope you all with me. I'm not alone speaking. Right. So concept of organizational culture, it's the organizational culture is a system of shared assumptions, values, and beliefs which govern how people behave in an organization. So the organization culture is to get the characteristics of tangible personality, and also this is originated within the organization itself, right? So even if we are not familiar with the companies like Google and Starbucks and so on, their names represent a taste of their workplace, attitude, and some protocols which is being practiced when it comes to interaction with the company values and all that. Because we usually deal with them, right? When we come across any issues with our Gmail account or anything like that, how many times you have contacted Gmail for any issues and complaints and inquiries? Practically 0 times, right? Because there is no issue at all. Everything is because they have a proper culture, proper system in place. They have everything in place. Therefore, the good attitude is there with the people and the organization. Things happen naturally. So the organization culture is, this is something very tangible. And it can be deliberately designed and leveraged also. It's usually, it affects the moral of the employee engagement. It also governs the revenue rate and improve the influence the company performance. And that have effect on the profitability. So therefore, it is important for us to realize how critical is this to manage this the culture. So the definition, to look at, the culture is a unique dominant pattern of shared beliefs, assumption, and values. And the norms that shape the specialization, symbol, language, and the practices of group of the people. The culture is the unique dominant pattern of shared beliefs, assumptions, values, and norms that shape the specialization, symbol, language, and practices of a group of a people. The attitude and the approach that the way the staff carrying out their task, that specify. So there was a small spelling mistake out here. That specify the way the staff carrying out their task. The culture is developed and transmitted by the people, and concisely and unconcisely to subsequent generations. So those are the definitions. Now I want to talk about this cultural iceberg. There are two elements of it: observable elements of the culture, which normally talks about the characteristics which are appear to the casual observer, right? Other part is the non-observable part, which is the observable part, like the practices, languages, symbols, and all. When it comes to non-observable part, in terms of culture, where the interpretations, norms, values, assumptions, when it comes to how you interpret this, how core values are being reflected in a specific situation in a daily life, in terms of while you're working, while you're socializing, different companies have a different different people have a different way of handling. When it comes to socializing, some people wanted to drink and all that. Some people wanted to go for some long drive, and some people wanted to get into different activities. Some people wanted to be chill out with their girlfriend, wife, or alone. Different ways of enjoying their. And the core values, of course, how they learn the ideas, and what is most important for them, and all that. And it's talking about good and bad about it, and how they are desirable and undesirable, and how they are acceptable and non-acceptable, and so on. So these are some of the points when it comes to cultural iceberg. Now, managing of organizational culture, that means the organizational culture of a company constitutes of number of different values and attributes that dictate the way people working for that company and act and think and serve as an important tool in promoting unity and teamwork. I hope this does not require much explanation, because self-explanatory. The organizational culture of a company constitutes a number of different values and attitudes that dictate the way the people working for that company act and think and serve as an important tool in promoting unity and the teamwork. So it is all about how organization expect, especially the culture, because I will be covering the area that what sort of culture, organization culture, and what is expected and how this has been done and all that, because that's a very important part for us to know and understand. That matters a lot, right? How you bring in the value and attributes to dictate the way the people working for that company, that really have an impact on the results as well as how the organization wanted to move forward as well. But the culture is a system of informal rule that spells how people are to behave most of the time. It's Bill Kennedy is talk about it. Culture is an informal rule. So there is a company rule, there is a policy, but the culture is an informal one. But that tells you how people are to behave most of the time. So no matter whatever policy, whatever rules in place, it's a culture which is going to dominate how the people are going to behave in most of the time. So the organization culture is some of the values and ritual which serve as a glue to integrate the members of the organization. Whether how you are going to bring in the value and how are you going to serve as glue and how are you going to integrate the members of the organization, it all depends on that organization culture. So if you try to change the culture to a different dimension, you will see that problem coming up, popping up in different ways. So I think today we are learning a very important session, because this is what we usually deal in our life on a daily basis, right? The 7 primary features of organizational culture. The organizational culture is it is communicated in a way that built in constructed in a hierarchical based system of assumptions, right? And then how you bring in that value, and then how you put this interpretation into the framework that can guide you to construct the organizational members as the way that you wanted them to perform their organizational roles, and then how they should be facing the challenges and the in the environment, right? I'll repeat again, because this organizational culture is constructed in most of the organization in traditionally the hierarchical way, with the assumption of value, and then using that value, what sort of value that we are going to get it, that they try to build a framework, right? So this is how it should be, but it is not written anywhere. There is no hard and fast rule. So this, you make these changes with these organizational members, how the way they perform their organizational roles, and then you create that sort of challenges for the environment. I hope you can understand what I am trying to say, right? This is usually happening in most of the organizations. If you talk to anyone, you will see the people, they try to create a different, I mean, they cannot change the rules. They cannot change the policy, but they try to change the culture based on the people's role and their responsibility, their position. Then accordingly, strategically, they try to bend it in such way that they try to achieve whatever they want. But in typical scenario, the primary features of the organization culture are aligned with innovation and risk-taking. So, I mean, as an organization, that you should be focusing on what is the organization supposed to do, what are you supposed to do, and how are you going to run the organization, and all that, it is a survival that we are talking about in today's context. So in that point of view, how you wanted to look at your organization, innovation and risk-taking is one aspect of it, where up to what degree that employees are encouraged to be innovative and take risk. So for you to drive that, you should have that culture. Because if they look at the paper, this is the roles and responsibility of mine. We have heard strike. You can't find fault with them. They come to work at 5, leave at 8, leave at 5. That's it. Or they come to work at 8 and leave at 4:30. So they are working for on time. This is my role, this is my responsibility, I'll finish it. But if you have the culture in innovating and risk-taking, if you can make that the employees are encouraged to be, that more innovative, and they should be able to take more risk. And then the attention in detail. That means that the degree, the level to which the employees are expected to exhibit their position, their ability, their precision, and the analysis, and what sort of attention they are getting into the details and all that. But if you don't get those things, that will create a huge issue in your real working environment. And then the third level of is the outcome orientation. Outcome orientation is where the degree to which management emphasize on outcome rather than skills and process of achieving those outcomes. They don't care what sort of issue, how you these things and all that. So all they focusing on this, what is the outcome, results. The fourth angle is the culture, is the people orientation. The people orientation is the degree to which the management focus on the people rather than outcome in the organization. Right? They wanted to make sure this person is secure. No blame come to this person. I will ensure I'll clear everything, whatever blame coming to this person. Or my team is important for me, no matter what happens to my business. My team is important for me because this consists of my family members. So I cannot tolerate my family members to be in trouble. I cannot sack anyone technically. So you take that position. That is called people orientation. Next one is the team orientation, where the degree to which the employees are encouraged to perform work as a team rather than the individual. Right? If you think that, no, I cannot work with this person, I cannot work with him, I will get it done for you. Some organizations, yes, that's the way they want it. Some organizations, no, that's not what I want. Let's everybody get together and finish it, whatever outcome, to see it, just cheer it up, enjoy, and let's go and have a fun after the work. That's the mode that some organizations want. That's a culture. Other type of is the aggressiveness. This is about the degree to which the people are aggressive and competitive rather than easygoing. Because they wanted the people to be very sharp and very competitive, somehow meet the target and get going, and then rather than say that Oh, no, I'm not going to work like this. I have family. It's my holiday. It's my off time. Let's come back and see tomorrow. Come on. Yes, there are organizations who wanted to take the policy, but then again, it is the culture. If the culture of the organization is to go aggressive and get competitive, be competitive, and then get your things done rather than just say easy going, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm off now. This is my lunchtime. I want to have a cup of tea. Let me have a small nap and come. If you are getting into the situation, culture is this and your behavior is this, then there's going to be huge problem, right? The last part is the stability. The stability is where up to what level, the degree which the organizational activities, they prefer to maintain a status quo in terms of where they contrast to grow, where they have to achieve. So I think you got the idea of the feature of organizational culture. It is important for us to understand this. If we don't have this sort of visibility and understanding, we will end up with those sort of conflicting situations in the organization. Okay. Now, how to create the positive organizational culture? It emphasizes the following feature: the building on employee strength and rewarding more than punishing, emphasizing the vitality and growth of the employee, bring ideas into the action. And you should have a selection criteria through which others are brought into the organization. So it is very important for us to create a positive organizational culture. If you don't do it right, and it will have an impact on your culture, in the organization. That will have an impact on your performance, outcome, stability. Everything go for a toss. Then bring all the employees at a common platform. You cannot have different people working on a different platform or different viewpoint, and they think, okay, I'll be working like this. This one team thinking, no, I'm not going to bother about that. I have my way is highway. I'm not going to bother about how other people do it. I'm not going to bother about how previously done it. Then it is a problem. This culture decides the way the employees interact at their workplace, which extract the best out of each team member. The culture represents the predefined policies which guide the employees and give them the sense of direction at the workplace. Right? So let's look at the organizational the future, organizational future. It's typo. Especially when it comes to when we look at the organizational culture of the future, when we look at this, now we are talking about digital transformation because we cannot sustain in the current era and also the future era without moving into the digitalization. So when we talk about digital transformation, the business landscape or any successful organization of the future is likely to be those organizations who can move faster, adapt quickly, and learn more rapidly, and embrace the dynamics which whatever the career demands are popping up. especially the high performing organizations which operate as a empowered network. They have those coordinated culture. They have all sort of information systems, and then they have all sort of talent available within the organization itself. Those organizations, they can focus on building that nearly all their activities, they should be able to bring all those activities and whatever the models that they wanted to bring in, because they are moving into those digital mode. It's easy for them to bring those new models into their organization. It is not only they are trying to build that new systems or the ecosystems, but they can also technically replace the organizational structure, the hierarchies. Typically, if you look at the traditional organizations, they have this hierarchy, right? So this modern organization, when you bring in this digitalization process, that removes that hierarchy slowly and gradually. And we have to see whether it is worthwhile doing that. Okay. So let's look at that, how this can have an impact and why organizations are designed to reach out to the top of the list as their most important trend as a global human capital trends. There is a survey done by I think Deloitte. Yeah, Deloitte. It is done, I think, a couple of years back. So what they find out here is they see that high performance organization, they operate is in a radically different way. Why I say radically different way? The way that they operate 10 years ago and now are completely changed. But still, the many organizations are still working on an industrial age mode, where they are still following that, having that mindset of we are 100 years old and more weighted towards the legacy systems and so on. So this study shows that 88% of survey respondents believe that building the organization of the future is an important or very important issue. %88 says that building the organization of the future is important. More than 3 in 5, the 59% says that issue is very important. A 3% increase from the last year. So 88% says important, 59% says very important. And the challenge is only 11% say survey respondents believe that they understand how to build the organization of future. This is the problem, because 88% feel important, 59% feel very important, but only 11% believe they understand how to build this organization of the future. So that shows what sort of critical position we are into. This is done with the very large organization. So this is the problem that we are facing it today. The 4 qualities that we are talking about here, which help round out the definition of organizational culture. It reflects the employee experience and how they are determined whether the companies are going to win or lose. Here, every culture is unique. And there is no single right answer, because for different companies, they have a different way of handling things. Even if a different organization have the same goal of creating happy employee, how they are going to get that, achieve that, are definitely different. It's not the same way. The second is the culture gives us a clear guideline to finding potential employees who will be a good fit for our organization. When companies hire people who are more likely to thrive into those environments, they significantly increase their odds of success. So therefore, finding the potential employee is very, very crucial. You cannot just come to the conclusion by taking the odd success, because it would have been a one-time success, but they may not be able to succeed in the long run. Third one is the cultures are like fluid life, and it's like it's growing organically. You cannot build that culture artificially. It has to come on its own. They need to be grown and nurtured like any relationship. And sometimes the culture, it evolves as external factors that can alter their culture, or as an organization simply grows and they can expand it, right? So if the mission of the organization is changes, the culture might need to be adjusted to the mission too. Because you cannot just be relaxed. If you're an organization who is into people oriented, when the situation like COVID today, can you say that my people are important for me? I don't care whatever the business loss that I have, whatever the revenue loss that I have, I want to safeguard my employee. Any organization took that decision, tell me one single organization, you would find 1 or 2 exceptions. If you go into the detail roots of that organization, probably the leaders, they don't care about the success of the organization. They only care about, that their success, not about the overall organization. For them to be a success, they need those people to be in place. So therefore, it is important for us to understand. And the last 4th one, which is some organization, they can raise their internal culture to become part of their external identity. And they set themselves apart. And when we think about the companies like Facebook and the Googles and any example like Uber, Amazon, see what those brands are straight reflection of the energy and spirit that found inside the company itself. The internal culture is distinguish them and power their financial success. So that is most important part for us to, a point for us to understand. How organizations are adopting to the innovative technologies and so on, especially when organizations grow and they adopt to the innovative technology and the practices, they happen to be the globalization of business, which is going to increase for them. the current development requires from the organization to not only to react to the trends, but also to proactively work on and start internally. The way the high-performing organizations run today is radically different from how they operated 10 years ago, right? And they are also kind of had these legacy practices and the behaviors, and they must be, in fact, they would have discarded some of those attitude and policies and the culture they had around to come up to that level. The change which took place in that organization, if they haven't changed the culture, that traditional organization would have not become a successful organization today. The organization, they should set up a flexible organizational governance structure centered around the agile methods. You cannot make the change over the night. You have to set it up, benchmarks, and reach one place and then take a step and then reach the next step. Like a network of team grouped by a product functionality and technical domains and operational readiness and all sort of leaders and with the authority to approve financial decisions. These are the fundamental thing for the organization to be, that bring that innovative technology, innovative culture into the organization. Then the last part, where how the organization should both hire the new recruits and talents, and they assign the current employees to the change program, because you cannot expect the existing people to change to the new dimensions. You had to bring in the new people in, and then you train the internal people to change to the new culture that you want at this stage. You can empower them by letting them making decisions in the best interest of the change program. That way you can have little or no influence from the legacy organizations. So otherwise it is going to be always difficult for you to, put them into the right track. So there are types of organizational cultures. Shall we have a break, 10 minutes break? Because once we start here, we have to, because this is again connected, but we are getting into more and more interest areas. Shall we have a break and come back? 10 minutes break. We'll start by 2 o'clock.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Someone need to remind me to start recording. Eh? I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, let's begin this. The type of organizational cultures. There are basic types of organizational cultures which we are talking about. Bureaucratic, number one, where the bureaucratic culture is a hierarchical and it's formal organization that have several let's say the levels. You will see that the chairman, CEO, then managers, and heads and managers, where the task and authorities and responsibilities are delegated between departments, office, and people, and so on. So it is more or less, that you maintain a distance and move towards culture where you you maintain the hierarchy. And the second one is the clan. Clan culture is a common label for organization characterized by kind of a flexible environment or atmosphere. It's more or less a family related thing, family oriented attitude. That's what you see in a clan environment. Third one is the market. The market culture is a type of a corporate culture which usually emphasizes on competitiveness. This is mostly if you look at the competitiveness mean in terms of between organizations or between employees. That's they have a competitiveness. They try to compete with their their subordinates or their competitors, their whatever the other organizations in the industry that they are fighting with. That's the attitude of that sort of competitiveness is there in terms of market related market culture, market type culture. The last one is the entrepreneurial organization culture. Is typically they tend to come up with sort of a shared values, and they have the norms of they get into the value creating, and they have tolerance of creative people, and they believe that innovating and sizing the market opportunities are the appropriate behavior to deal with the problem of survival and prosperity of the environment, like the uncertain environment like we are facing it today. And they treat that competitors always a threat for them, and then they expect the organization members also to behave like that. You would have noticed that especially the startups and innovative, the entrepreneurial mindset organization, they typically see it as competitors, and they tend everybody to work on that sort of a culture. Now, if you work with different set of people, you would have come across that they have a fixed approach, right? So that is, we'll have to look at what is best for your organization culture, or what sort of organization you are. One is the bureaucratic, which is the hierarchical organization. Other one is a clan, which is the family oriented attitude, where they have the flexible atmosphere, and then the market, which is the competitiveness. They always emphasize the competitiveness, competition between organization, competition between the employees. That they let that culture to be created. The last one is the entrepreneurial culture, where they believe on the norms of the member of organization, which include all these value creating and tolerance, and all these people are that more towards innovating and seizing the market opportunities, and then they also deal with the problem of like survival for them rather than living it like that. So those are the 4 types of organizational culture, the basic types of organizational culture. Then you got to see which category, which type that your organization is getting into. The bureaucratic culture, if I explain you in detail, this type of culture, the behavior of the people is governed by the formal rules and standard operating procedures. It's important part of this the adaptability is far away from this hierarchical organization, because they don't really adapt to the changes and all that. It's a model that's a model that they tend to work. They only have in fact, there are some research which talks about that similar the hierarchical organization, which says some less than 15 or 20% of the executives believe that traditional organization model is a specific area, but otherwise majority of the people are now, it's not something that everybody would like to have it as a hierarchical or the bureaucratic organization. And this as organizations, it makes this situation, they find that smaller team are the natural way for the humans to work, right? If you look at that hierarchical organization, they believe on that aspect, smaller team. And also there are some research indicate that they usually spend in a kind of a massive amount, two order magnitude with compared to the other type of organization. But one of the other thing is like the outcome of the hierarchical organization, which is when you have a distance. I mean, the hierarchy means you are creating the distance. So when the distance is more, there's a research which shows that when you have the two people working next to each other and keep them 50 meters away, the productivity has huge gap in terms of the productivity which can produce than the people working closely together. So that is the bureaucratic culture has its own disadvantage. So, but for an organization to be agile, and the teams must be formed quickly, and this is what the most of the high performing companies, the organizations build their team. They group the selected individuals together as a team members. They guide them toward new products and services, and maybe they will work in that group for about a year or two, and then afterward they disappear and the team moves to new projects. And this is the ability to move between teams without risk is a cultural attribute. This is what most of the high performing organization they have adopted. Right. And next clan culture is a behavior where the individuals or they are shaped by the traditions and loyalties and personal commitment and extensive socialization and self-management. It's a clan culture. It is achieved unity through socialization, and long-term employees serve as a mentors, and members are aware of the organization's history and have an understanding of the expected manner of conduct and organization style. And members share feelings of pride in the membership and peer pressure to adhere to important norms and strongs are also there. The market culture, the value and the norms reflects the significance of achieving measurable and demanding goals, mainly concerning those that are financial and market based. Companies with a market culture tend to focus on sales growth, profitability, market share. So we got to identify which culture should, the organizations, they have to adopt to a right culture, especially the market culture. Leadership between individuals and organizations is contractual. It means it's a pre-agreed. and individuals are responsible for their performance, where the organization promise specific rewards for levels of performance. Managers are not judged on their effectiveness as a role model or mentors, but on monthly, quarterly, and annual performance goal based on the profit. So that is what the market culture is. If I come back again, bureaucratic is a culture behavior of employees governed by formal rules and standard operating procedures. All right. It's about the culture perpetuates stability, and organizations with bureaucratic culture tend to produce standardized goals and services, especially the government ministries and fast food establishments and so on. Clan culture is a behavior of individual are shaped by tradition, loyalty, personal commitment, extensive socialization, and self-management. The clan culture achieves unity through socialization. Long-term employees serve as mentors, and members are aware of the organization history and have an understanding of the expected manner of conduct and organization style. Members, they share, they feel pride of the membership and peer pressure adhere to them. In the market culture, which is they are mainly focusing on sales growth, profitability, and market share. And the managers are not just for their effectiveness as a role model mentor, but monthly, quarterly, and annually performance goal. Lastly, the entrepreneurial culture. The organizations existing in the context of an entrepreneurial cultures are characterized by high level of risk-taking and creativity. It's always the Apple is one of the classic example, right? It's an entrepreneurial culture. Their risk is very high. The people are highly creative. The results also according. There is a commitment to the experimentation, innovation, and being on the leading edge. From leadership to all level, there is a commitment of experimentation, innovation, and they will always be in the leading edge. Now, here this the power of the network teams, where it talks about it's shift away from hierarchical organization, and their structure is towards team. Now, how things were there before is the hierarchical, right? How things were moved on to is this cross culture. But how things work is the small teams, they have to collaborate each other. Shared values, culture, transparent goals and projects, and free flow of information and feedback. People reward for their skills and abilities, but not for the positions. So the smaller teams are natural way of humans to work, and the company to stay agile, team must be performed and disbanded quickly. So they have to form the team for a specific objective. Year or two, you should be able to disband them and put them into a different assignment altogether. So that's the way you can keep the company agile and more productive. Some of the examples of organizational structure case studies. Now take Philips Life. The Philips Life, which conducted a series of workshops around the world to help their company identify its traditional current and future values to build alignment around the new and more innovative culture. So for that, the company has created a common manifesto around 4 new cultural values, which is pioneering, caring, fast, and external focus. This is to help the company to empower the teams rapidly innovate and move into the light services and new market for internet-based communication. So this is something that how they Philips have done it. So you can imagine that what is their manifesto and how they were able to help the company to empower the team, and they become very innovative, and they moved into the lighting services and new market for the internet-based lamination. So the culture is very important, right? Next, the building organization of the future. Now, you have to think carefully about ways in which digital demands and considerably slower traditional operating model to be speed up. And we understand how organization strategy, uh, which connects this customer and talent pools and all changing apart from the digital transformation journey that we are talking about, which required executive to move from function to function, and so that they understand the new and more agile career model, and they can build the processes to support the whole team, and then they can the team members, they can quickly return to their home bases, and they can move into the different projects, and once that project is done. So if you ask the team members, the group, and if you ask them to analyze and study how the performing teams and the projects and programs are actually work, it's if you look at by analyzing the job title and rewards and the career part, this if you can put it to the chart, the way the more agile is the bottom up model that you should be looking at, right? So for example, now the large companies like Slack, of course, now it has been brought over by Salesforce, and there's Trello and Workboard. So these are technologies which has been used for collaboration to build that agile approach and standardize the implementation as their how they can complement to the organization level, where their HR structure and all that. Because when you have the right tool in place which can talks about what you really need to achieve, right? And what is the tool that is required, and you can examine the new communication tools, and then you can adopt to that continuous feedback and performance management, where the regular feedback which empowers the people to reset their goals continuously and change the projection, and then also they feel that rewarded for the work that they are carrying out, not just the job, right? So this sort of employee survey tool give the managers or the organizations the immediate input to their own performance, and that would boost the transparency across the organizations of about how my employees are feeling about it, how they are performing, and what is their needs and all that. It's really important for an organization to have that sort of transparency. Let's look at these rules, old rules and new rules about building organization of the future. As this is a new new type of organization which is working in a team, they would like to become a it become a norm in the business now. Especially the dynamism will become an organizational benchmark itself, or mark, where building and supporting the team will be the leaders or the business leaders' primary responsibility or the principal task. And there are the ways that you can make those things. So the old rules are like organization for efficiency and effectiveness. New rules are organization for learning and innovation in customer impact. Company viewed as a hierarchy with hierarchical decision rights, and here the new rules are company viewed as agile network and empowered them by the leaders and powered by the collaboration and knowledge sharing. And structure based on new functions with functional leaders and global functional group, where the new rules, it says structure based on work and projects with a team focused on products and customer service. All rules says that advancement through the promotion upward with the many levels to progress through, and advancement through many assignments, device experience, multifunctional leadership assignments. All rule says that people become leaders through promotions. New rule says people create followers to grow in influence and authority. Right? Leadership is look at from the how many people follow and how you can influence, how you can authority rather than this position. All rules lead by direction. New rules lead by orchestration. All rules says the roles and jobs title clearly defined. New rules, teams and responsibility clearly defined, but roles and jobs title change regularly. It's all rule process based, new rule project based. So it's a agile culture that we are talking about, right? Culture engagement. Any doubts, any clarification so far? Are you all with me?
Everything is
Anyone?
clear.
It's clear, right?
Yes.
All right. Especially when it comes to employee engagement and culture, these are now part and parcel of the business issues. And previously, it is the topic for HR to debate about this employee engagement and culture. There is no place where the organization to hide this one. The definition for culture, it changed significantly over the years from being, since a time where the collaborative, collective behaviors, or where the organization, where they could not be influenced by other people. Then this definition of culture, which evolved into the understanding that the organizational culture is the unexpected, the tangible, and it can be designed and leveraged as an employee experience. So that's where the culture has been moved to right now. Previously, they have so many concerns. Now, what is sort of engagement experience that you are going to give it to your employees? The top issues, of course, the business leaders, where the corporate transparency, greater workforce mobility, and skills shortages, culture, engagement, and retention. So in the era of, we are living in the era where the high corporate transparency, you can't hide anything in the organization. It's then the workforce also with greater mobility, because now everybody working from home. And they serve skill shortage also, and the engagement and the engagement that we are having with employee and retention of those employees, the good quality employees, also emerged to the top issue of for a business leaders, because having good employee, keeping that good employee in the organization is not a easy task. The issue is not simply an HR problem, because every business, the successful business, to be successful, the person matters, especially in a digital era. I was dealing with one of the organizations who want to do a marketing promotion in the country. So we were talking to a best company as a marketing agent, digital marketing agency. But still they said, look, we are not convinced. We can see the outlook is good. They have done good projects, but we are not talking to the right person. Probably the person who did the project would have left the company. The people is matters. So this is what the large enterprise organization has sensed it. We think that no, we have. It is true that you cannot create the companies, duplicate the company, because culture is important. You can't create that culture in a different place. The culture is rooted into that company. That is true. But then again, the individual, right now, where are we working? We are working from home. If I am conducting this lecture from Peradeniya University, there is one culture for that university. Everyone needs to adhere to that. Today, that university is distributed to 46 places. I have a different culture. Every single one of you have a different culture. The problem that we are facing today is not just one problem, we are facing 46 problems. This is what we discussed short while ago. So therefore, it is not a simply a HR problem. With this, that the workforce mobility came into the picture, into the organization, it is no longer a HR problem. It is a business leaders' top problem today. So this culture and engagement is the most important issue that companies facing around the world. That even before COVID. After COVID, situation is even worse. The before COVID survey says that 87% of the organization decide culture and engagement as one of the top challenge. And 50% call them as a problem and very important to address it. Okay? So the organization that create a good culture, they define by meaningful work and they deploy a deep employment engagement. And the job and the organizational fit for the person and the strong leadership they have to outperform everyone, their peers, and they will likely to beat their competition in attracting the top talent. Today, this is the biggest problem. There are a set of organizations who is actually training the resources. Now, university students, graduates, undergraduates, they get the training from a great organization. They get into the little bit advanced organization. Those are innovative companies. Then there is another set of big players coming in and setting up, hiring 300, 500 people and all. On top of that, like TCL, TCS and Tata sort of organization, they are also coming and setting up, and they are pulling the resource from here. So this is becoming a competition in attracting the top talents. So therefore, the culture of the organization is very, very important. If you are so where companies can start, the engagement, they can start at the top. So make engagement a corporate priority. And you can modernize the process of measuring and evaluating engagement throughout the company. You can benchmark. The companies strive for external recognition as validation of their effort. So if you cross this certain limit, and you will be recognized to this level, some additional pay or rewards. And you can reinforce the leadership, that engagement and retention of the people should be their the top priority. Then measure in real time. Put in a place where the real-time program to evaluate and assess organizational culture. You can use this model for or the tool to better understand where it is strong and where it is weak and how it really feels to the workers or the employees. You can make this work meaningful for them. The organization should focus on leadership coaching and the performance management to help employees to make their work meaningful for them. You can reinforce the importance of coaching and feedback culture. Because if you are not happy, if you have a concern, come back. And you teach the leadership or the leaders how to be authentic and transparent with them. And you can listen to the millennials. Because the new society, we born in the era where at that time there's no mobile phone. Today, even 3 months, 6 months old kid, the baby, knows how to operate the mobile phone, smartphone. At least one function. So therefore, they're born in this millennium era. So the people who born in this with the mobile phone and the data era, we call them as millennials. So their desired needs, their value will shape the organization culture over the next 10 years. If you don't provide them what is their desired needs, you may not be able to keep them in the organization. For that, you need to simplify the working environment. Probably you can do a research or read some research papers, and simply you should be able to, bring in some simplification to work to help reduce the burden today, where we work almost like 24/7. So how we can bring that into the control, right? So that's all I wanted to explain you. These are the 4 quizzes which is being displayed here. I'm going to pass this through the chat window. Hold on. Let me get the quizzes. Any doubts, clarifications, please raise me. Otherwise, you can start the quiz. Nobody is interested to talking to me, or you are still on mute?
Sir, can you explain a little bit about culture and engagement?
Culture and
Engagement, the last topic.
okay. So I will put the quiz here. Just confirm everyone whether you all can access the file. This part, right?
Yes, sir.
Before the
Now, can you come again? Is there a doubt more than this one? Now, what is the issue here? Here, I was talking about the top issues for business leaders, where the corporate transparency, great workforce mobility, and serve like skill shortage, culture, and engagement, and the employee retention. Because as I mentioned, where today we are living in an era where the corporate organizations, they have to bring in more transparency. And the workforce, we are all working from home today. So we have a skill shortage because when the people are working together, there is a collaboration, supporting each other, right? One person who knows about the subject was able to cover up with the other 10 people to get the work done. Now everyone is working from home. They have their own challenges and issues in terms of connectivity and so on. Apart from that, they have the skills gap as well. So then the engagement with the employees are becoming challenged, and keeping the employee or the retention is becoming a top issue for the business leaders today. So this is no longer keeping the employee, hiring and firing is no longer a HR problem. It is becoming a business leaders problem altogether. So the culture and the engagement is the most important issue that companies are facing today, right? This is what the research says, that 87% of the organization cites that the culture and engagement as the top priority challenge faced by the most of the organization. Out of which even the 50% of them says that they call it as a problem and very important to address it. So the organizations that they are creating the culture like it is defined by a meaningful work, and it has to have a clear, deep employment engagement altogether put together, and the job and the organization and fitness also should be there. There has to be alignment. So therefore, if there is no alignment, there is a high chance their talent can be attracted by the other organization. So that's why the culture and the engagement with employees are so critical in an organization, especially in the new era. We have to pay special attention because we are living in an era where everybody is working from home. And this situation is not going to change soon. It's expected to continue as is. But business cannot, business has to survive. So therefore, it is important for every organization to consider this part very seriously. Everyone is able to access the question? Can you switch on your cameras, please? I want to see you all. There's no choice. I have to see you all. Okay, I want to see whether you all can access these questions, whether everyone is able to see the questions. Are you all working? Oh. You are working on questions or what? Anyone facing issues, challenges?
No, so we can see the question.
Can you all access the questions?
Yes, sir, can.
Have you all marked the attendance?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So is there only 4 questions?
Yes. It's a very simple question also. Right. Now I'm going to take you all through another important part, your assignment. Right. Now I need to create 5 groups. How many people are here? 46, right? 40, 45 or 46? So because I wanted you all to do a group presentation, that's what I thought.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I am logged from my laptop and my mobile phone both. So number 21, take as a one, sir, when you are group dividing into groups.
Right. So hold on, let me check the attendance so then I can say. I cannot, if anyone is not, anyone's name, I got 48 names here. So technically I have to divide all of them. 48 divided by 7. So how can we put the group? Can I go by attendance order? Number 1 is not here. This is not in a correct order. Otherwise, now anyway, I'm going to do like this. I'm going to group this. Shall we go by attendance order then? In this sheet. Are you all okay with that approach? We have 48. Or should we go with the people who had attended the class today? Today 43 is here, 42 here. Then we can go with 6 people. So I will mark the group name here as per the schedule. Today's attendance. You can go and check G1, G1, G1. G1. 3, 4, 5. Yes. Somebody else just put the attendance, right? Group 7, actually, you have 3 people, but whoever not attended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, I think a couple of people have not marked the attendance. Right now, I can see 44, but attendance is not 44. So 43 minus me, and there's one duplicate, so 42. But actually 38 only marked here attendance. So now the 4 people to mark attendance. Can you please mark your attendance? Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for me to allocate the group. Right. So I'm going to do this. Can you see the assignment page? Presentation. I'll give you time. Don't worry. For this assignment, I'll give you, sorry, the quiz, I'll give you time till tonight. You can upload your answers. I just want to test your ability only. Can you all hear me? Are you all with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me brief you about this assignment. Now, the assignment is targeting last week, this week, and next week session. I'm expecting you all to present it one. I mean, yeah, we are talking about 7 groups. So these 7 groups, I need to divide that into next 2 sessions. Let me check my schedule. I have to take another. I think another 2 more sessions. So I need the presentation to be done by respective teams. 2 teams, you have to give your names. I have another 2 more sessions. But I wanted to finish this presentation during that time, not beyond that. Okay. So next week and following week, I'll tell you what you should be doing. Diagnose the reason for conflict and what are the strategies to resolve the conflict in the organization? Now, team 1, I'll go with this 7 groups now. I'll go with first question. Team 1 should answer. But this has to be a constructive approach. How you think, how you can diagnose the reason for conflict, and what are the strategies to resolve the conflict in the organizations. So you're going to present it. So each group, 6 members, right? So all of you are going to present it. I need to see what is the contribution by each one of you. I can't hear you. Any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask. Second group, take the question of interpret the potential cause of resistance of organizations. Identify and describe 3 potential causes of resistance to your change plan. Now, I gave it as a question format, but I'm expecting you all to take it as a concept and present it, plus give me a right report as well. And who has contributed to what, that has to be highlighted. You have to send me the presentation. I will upload the link, or you can upload it to the Moodle, either way. If Moodle is difficult, I will anyway share the link where you can upload the presentation as well as your report. So individually,
So
yes.
where is the group number, group members?
Group
How-
members, you can see it from the attendance sheet, today's attendance sheet. I have marked the group members. So anyone who don't have a number, please contact me, or you can mention the group number in that sheet, and also please send me a note saying that so and so I have added me into this group, so that I can make a note on it. Right? Third group will be working on create a plan for minimizing possible conflicts of your organization. Fourth group, relationship between resistance to change and communication. Fifth, evaluate communication strategies that organizations can utilize. Sixth, what is the best communication strategy that would be applicable to your organization? Briefly explain why this communication strategy is best for your organization. How to build a strong communication plan for your change initiative. So those are the questions for each group that I gave. I'm expecting you all to come up with something extremely new. Probably I will send you some guidelines in terms of what I expect and all that. Let me show you.
Sir, if you don't mind, sir, could you please send us the attendance sheet link, because it is not here in the chat box.
Okay, I'll send it again. Okay.
Okay, sir, thank you. Sir, and what is the deadline for the quiz? At what time we have to submit it?
I'll keep it open till what time? 12 o'clock today?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right.
So
Yes.
there is only 3 members for the last question.
Yes, but there are another 3 people to put the attendance. So
Sir,
those
I
3
have put the attendance, but my group number is not mentioned.
would have put it later.
Okay, sir.
Okay, hold on. What's the name or number, your registration number?
4, sir. PGU MBA 2024.
Number 4. Yeah, but you haven't put the attendance.
So I have put,
Ratnayaka, right? Sorry, Rajaratna.
Yeah.
No, your attendance is not there. So I'll mark it as yes, and I'll put you into the group 7, because if I have to change it, then again I have to come all the way and change it. So I'll put you into the group 7. Did you came last week as well?
yeah.
So you didn't mark the attendance? Number 8, Manya Arachi. Are you there? Number 25, phone number. Number 33, Herath, PK. Number 23, Herath. Number 38, Ranavakar.
Yes, sir.
Did you came last week?
Yes.
Did you mark the attendance?
On the X. No, I'll not.
Anyway, I have the chat history also. 44, Rajinikanth. Don't know whether he has gone for a shooting. 64, Bhagya. 68, Rasika. 45, Vijay Singh. Okay, I think
No, sir, I am present. I am present, Mr. Vijay Singh, sir.
you're present.
Yes. Last
your
week
group-
also I presented.
Then you should have marked attendance, because even now also I have shared the link. You haven't marked it yet. Okay, any doubts, clarification, the assignment? So group 7, you have 5 people so far. Let me explain the assignment again. It's a group assignment, and each group have given a series of, that each group is given a single question.
Excuse me, sir.
You got to answer to that question. It is not something that you're going to write one word answer or one paragraph. You have to at least try to have at least
Excuse me, sir.
maybe 1,000 to 1,500 words. I'm fine.
Sir,
And
hello.
yes,
Excuse me. Sorry, sir. Sir, I don't have a group. My number is 62.
62. What's your name?
CT Linaratna.
Oh, okay, you're group 7.
Thank you,
Right.
sir.
So the deadline is next week. One group. Now there is 6 groups. Sorry, 7 groups. Next week, 3 groups. You can let me know, or else I will call 1, 2, 3. So in between you all can discuss it and you can let me know in advance. You can update me by Thursday or Friday, that would be great. Right? If not, on Saturday, I will send an email saying that group 1, 2, 3 will be presenting next week. Don't think that I am a rude person, otherwise I won't be able to finish the syllabus and give the marks for you all. But I'm giving you the flexibility between you all discuss it, and if you all can convince your colleagues and push it to the, not pushing it, take your slot quickly. If not, 1, 2, 3 is going to have a chance. Always remember, first movers advantage is there. Definitely that is there. Any mistakes, you will be given excuse. Okay. So 2 weeks, I'm going to take this, and you must submit the report, the detail of the explanations and the solution for the questions that you have been given. That report must come to me by within 2 weeks time. I'll tell you the deadline by next week, because I'm giving you 3 weeks actually. I'm supposed to give you the assignment next week, but I'm giving you in advance today, so that you have 1 week to prepare for it. And then another 2 weeks to work on it. There's oral presentation. Here I expect this is an opportunity for you to explore more tools in order to complete your task, and you gain more understanding about the subject that we have learned. You have to show that ability, and you will be tested for how you apply the knowledge and experience required to, that you acquired with this soft skills, which is important for your career and all that. Right?
So is there any word count for report?
Word count, I would expect approximately 1,000 to 1,500. Because there are 6 people, I would say at least minimum 1,500 is better. Because each person, you have to assign the responsibility among each person, because I'm going to look at from your presentation. You are going to, on first page, you have to say who is doing what. Not in paragraph, just one line. Your name, which area. Name, which area. Likewise, 6 people, they have to specify which area they are doing it, and they are going to present it. And
so how much time?
Time, I'm going to give it you 6 minutes.
Okay, sir.
And I'm going to keep 2 minutes for questions. I'm not going to ask the questions. You're all going to ask the question. The other listeners going to ask the questions. And I'm going to make a note who is asking the question, and they will be rewarded. Even if they miss in their presentation, they will still, they can cover up through by actively participating in the Q&A. Right? So this assignment will be assessed based on the report and oral presentation. It's a competition between each presenters also. Accordingly, you will gain the marks. It is not something that you're going to gain the marks for your own talent, but also I'm going to look at the competitiveness. If someone else is doing better than you, then they will, within that group, one person is going to anyway have a high marks. So you have to justify yourself that you did your part well. So each individual need to prepare the presentation in their respective areas that they are handling. Each members, you are allowed to use any media, various medias, and your own creativity for the presentation. But unfortunately, you are given only 1 minute. And you're going to earn marks through the report as well as presentation. So presentation is something that you're going to do it on your own. but when it comes to report, it's a collective one. I'm going to look at both collaborative effort, teamwork. I can see, since every one of you are going to present it, I can see whether it is coming from your heart or someone is wrote the script for you. I can easily catch that. Switching on the camera is a must. Don't come up with any excuse. If you don't switch on the camera, I'm going to reduce at least 1 month. So please make sure switch on the camera. I'm going to test your level of knowledge and understanding of the subject, as well as each group also can be evaluated based on the fluent of explanation and ability to answer the questions and the creativity in the presentation. So if any one of you was able to address the questions, end of the day, your team will survive. So that's why I'm looking at both your teamwork as well as your individual performance, because giving the prominence for teamwork, I believe it's at most important in this era. So, 3:15. Okay. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next week. Another interesting session. So how is your feedback today? Today's session? Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, will you keep the questions in the Moodle, or now in our presentation it is not there?
Okay, I'm going to send you the updated presentation in a short while. You all didn't get the write it down, ne? I will share the put it on an email, updated presentation in short while. Okay, I will send it right away. Okay, so how is your feedback today? No feedback. Oh, you don't want to give feedback.
We got everything clear, sir. Thank you.
All right. Others? All of you have marked attendance, right? Whoever participated here as well as. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.